We hope that the time you spent here as students has helped you to form worthy dreams and images of truth and of our interdependence that will guide your engagement with the realities of the world as you work also to transform some of those realities into possibilities for the common good. Please join me in reading responsively the text printed in your program.
And now, I'd like to ask the class of 2004 to reflect in turn for one moment on how you came to reach this milestone. Now that you've done that, I'll bet that there are some people up in the balcony and behind you whom you might like to thank for all their support and encouragement. Why don't you rise and give them a round of applause? It's the custom for the dean of the college to offer a selection of readings to the graduates and for the president to deliver the baccalaureate address. But this is a special occasion because it is not only the members of the class of 2004 who are leaving us, but the dean himself after 40 years at Yale.
Wow.
Therefore, I've asked Dean Broadhead to reverse roles, and he will deliver the baccalaureate address. And before I start with my readings, I do want to take the moment to thank my friend and longtime colleague for his inspired and devoted service to Yale as scholar, teacher, and exemplary dean of Yale College. Please join me in wishing Dean Broadhead every success as we read the I begin with one of Dean Broadhead's favorite selections, one that captures the sense of loss produced by leaving one place, and yet evokes the possibilities that lie ahead in an uncertain future. The passage describes the first human experience of departure, the departure of our ancestors, Adam and Eve. Like
At our 10 previous baccalaureates, I, an English professor,
had read some literary passages to graduates as they went forward. For those same 10 years, Richard Levin, a professor of economics, has experienced the gnawing pangs of passage envy, aching to escape from the rigors of the dismal science for the superior joys of literature. This year, in an academic transvestitism seldom before witnessed, I have magnanimously allowed President Levin to wear the glory robes of poetry. Encourage the boy. Didn't he do well? Actually, what I just said was false. Here's the truth. I myself will be going out with the class of 2004. I too came to Yale College expecting to spend 4 years, but through a decimal point placement error that's only recently been detected, I by mistake spent 40. In recognition of my belated departure, President Levin has invited me to give the baccalaureate address this year. That is real magnanimity, and I thank him most sincerely. Is there life after Yale? I admit it's a novel concept. But as with those traces of water recently found on Mars, the signs are newly encouraging. Friends of the class of 2004, I note that you are dressed in black. Why the gloom? I suppose that I know. You're dressed in mourning for the fact that your rebels are all ended and that the life and friendships formed here are about to dissolve. 4 years ago, when we all first gathered together, yeah, it's awful, right? 4 years ago, when we last all gathered in this room together, your college years seemed to stretch almost infinitely far before you. But unfortunately, infinity does not last as long as it used to. For here you are already, with only a few grains remaining to pass through the hourglass before your college life is done. Or might I guess that for some, your suits of woe bespeak an even deeper gloom. At a freshman assembly some years ago, I had an experience like a bad dentist of jabbing a nerve straight on. On that occasion, I spoke of the many people through the years who have come up to me after going to Yale and wanted to confess to me that they felt they were admitted here by mistake. As I mentioned this to the incoming class, a gasp filled Woolsey Hall, and at least 800 students looked as if I had divined their inmost secret. This is true. It's thrilling for a speaker to wield power on that order. And so, with the sadism ill becoming in a dean, the dentist will essay another probe. Ready? As for those rows of gloom, could it be that one or more of you have arrived at the end of your ride here with your future plans still a perfect blank? Do you think that's funny? But I'm not done. Might there be some who have plans, but who know deep down that the thing you've signed up for is a perfect fig leaf, marginally covering and only temporarily postponing exposure of the scandalous nakedness of your real-life plans? Haunted by uncertainty, might there be one or more of you who have had twinges of the feeling that, as the Yale Precision Marching Band chants at opposing goalies in Ingalls Rink, it's all your fault. All Yale's fault for having failed to provide you with a single marketable skill.
Oh my gosh.
If students in this room have not yet felt this, there may be some sitting in the upper stands who have felt it. Some years back, I met a mother from Southern California, I name no names, the mother of not one but 2 Yale sons, who revealed that after graduation, her kids had come back home to the new life, not quite what she had had in mind, of getting up very late, eating bizarre amounts of breakfast cereal, and watching reruns on TV, and who, when pressed about what they might want to go out and do in the world, glared the unspoken words, "Don't go there." If anyone in this room resonates with any portion of this description, I have a message for you. It's going to be all right. Is it any wonder if the end of college should produce a pause before you find your onward way? For the great majority of you, the end of college is the end of a far longer period. For some of you, it began within days or maybe hours of your birth. a longer period in which your life has been defined by the fact that you were in school. Since kindergarten or preschool, school was where you spent the day. During all that time, school gave the answer to the question, what you were doing with your life. Remember the convenience? Question, what are you doing with your life? Answer, I'm still in school. You will miss that convenience. A succession of schools has set you your annual tasks and challenges, and best of all, school always said what came next, namely, more school. After 5th grade, 6th grade. After high school, college. Now, for the first time, you're about to step out of that structured life into the abyss of the undetermined. No wonder, if it's disorienting, what else would it possibly be? But another name for life unstructured in advance is freedom, and other words for life lived in that territory are independence and adulthood and maturity. Welcome to them. Will it be, yeah, I go for that. Will it be beyond your power? Will it be beyond your power to orient yourself in that world and find your way in it and make something good in it? In bad moments, it may seem so, but when those moments arrive, I'd ask you to think back to your first days here. When you came ashore at your last terra incognita, you must have sometimes felt at a loss. But then something kicked in, some mix of courage and spirit and curiosity and desire that helped you come forward to meet this unfamiliar place and to engage its challenges and to make it your own. Do I doubt that the same thing will happen when you leave here? I do not doubt it. You have done nothing these last 4 years to invite me to think of you as helpless and resourceless. I saw that mother from Southern California recently, and when I asked her how her sons were doing, I asked nervously, because they might still have been watching South Park. When I asked what her sons were doing, I learned not only that they were doing something absorbing and fulfilling, but that she no longer had any remaining recollection of their homebound or deadbeat phase. The early modern philosopher Francis Bacon wrote this: "They are ill discoverers who think there is no land when they can see nothing but sea." And so with you. The solid land of a good life is out there for you, however little you can now discern its shape or shores. So courage. The strength that brought you this far will bring you to it yet. And when you find it, you will learn that you have carried all kinds of valuable things forward from this place, however little they may be visible to you as assets now. In recent years, there has been much discussion in this country about the need to identify goals and measure outcomes in education. I don't wholly disagree with this mode of thinking as it applies to elementary education. In our world, the cost of allowing young people to move forward without having mastered fundamental skills is simply too costly. But I'm much more skeptical about outcomes-based theories as they apply to the kind of education you just got. What we put you through here involves some measure of identifying things to be learned, making you learn them, and then measuring to be sure you actually did learn them. But that wasn't the process by which you got almost anything good of what there was to get at this place. One of the many limits of an outcomes model of education is that it treats acquisitions as fixed that can in fact prove quite transitory. Every one of you is skilled at mastering complex subject fields sufficiently so you can display the requisite knowledge on cue on an exam, only then to have it begin to seep very rapidly from your brain soon thereafter. By my most conservative estimate, the number of things learned by members of the Yale College class of 2004 that you have already completely forgotten is larger than the sum of human knowledge acquired since the early Renaissance. Parents who are shocked by this notion are invited to come on stage right now, where I will humiliate you by asking you to explain the workings of Ohm's law, or the Smoot-Hawley tariff, or to correctly use the passive subjunctive future tense in a language of your choice, or other outcomes you once reached to great applause before subsiding into the contented ignorance of today. Such inevitable forgetting is not a scandal in education because the original act of learning taught something more deeply valuable and left a deeper trace. train deep habits of mind that survive the specific content that was originally attached to them and can then be put to a different use. When the Duke of Wellington said that the Battle of Waterloo was won on the playing fields of Eton, he didn't mean, I think, that organized sport consciously or purposely teaches the arts of war. He meant that deep skills learned by chance in one world, the world of play, skills like physical courage, like working together in teams, like coordinating strategies over space and time in a way that requires continual improvisation and revision in face of changing circumstances, those skills turned out in a way wholly unforeseeable at the time of their acquisition to serve a second function, equipping a later self to act in a context radically different from the one where the skills were first learned. In an office I was given the use of one day at Duke a few weeks ago, someone had posted this saying by John Ruskin: "The highest reward of personal toil is not what he gets for it, but the highest reward of a person's toil is not what he gets for it, but what he becomes through it." I accept that quote because it comes closer to stating my own philosophy of education, since to my mind, the real outcome to aspire to in a serious education is always and only the building of the self, a process that does not lend itself to authoritative measure because that process is never over and because its ways are so very oblique. Whatever we pretended course by course and week by week, what Yale really required of you was only one thing, namely that you use the challenges and resources of this place to develop your latent powers and build the more capable you. If you can't say now what you learned here is good for, that's because you're not yet at the place where it will show its value and its help. The fruits of the deeper education only reveal themselves in time, as life's and history's emerging challenges, like the Napoleonic War, unimagined in the youth of Wellington, call forth their stores of strength. Might I be able to be a little more specific about this fabulous equipment I am saying you are carrying forward from here, possibly unbeknownst to yourselves? I'll try. Men and women of the class of 2004, you have done a great deal of homework. Help me with this. There are 1,300 of you, and you each took at least 36 classes, and each of those classes met for 12 and a half weeks. Equipped with these facts, I tried to calculate how many books you might collectively have read, how many papers you might collectively have written, and how many problem sets you might collectively have worked. But my brain got tired before I reached the answer. I congratulate you on your colossal diligence. But now that it's behind you, it might be safe to reveal a secret. Namely, the point of all that homework was not really to complete it, but rather, through that exercise, to develop powers that can only begin to show their value when the days of assigned work are past. In my life, I've met people who seem absolutely to have stopped thinking at some point in their life, living on with a stock of fixed opinions as limited and antiquated as their aging wardrobes. I cannot promise that this will not happen to you, but I pray that it will happen to you. And if you escape this fate, you will find that the work you did here will be part of what helped protect you against that fate. With luck, years of rather artificial school exercises will have developed an instinctive drive to keep identifying and assimilating new sources of information and subjecting them to analysis and synthesis, dispositions now sufficiently well-rooted in your nature that they can carry on now without external or institutional support. So internalized, the habits that made you that relatively boring thing, a good student in your early life, can make you that relatively important thing in later life, namely an ongoing student of your world and a constructive contributor to its needs. At Yale, academic education never takes place by itself, though, as you know, but always in energizing interaction with a certain social environment. Look around you. We've provided you with 1,000 classmates like you in skill and thoughtfulness, but bizarrely unlike you in origin, outlook, commitment, and belief, to live with in intimate community and daily exchange. It is my profound hope that the form of sociability you've become accustomed to at Yale will prove habit forming, and that you will continue to seek this kind of sociability and recreate this kind of sociability when an institution ceases conveniently to provide it for you. In saying this, I do have a certain social fact in mind. As everyone now knows, the Brown versus Board of Education decision that ended court-legitimated school segregation was handed down 50 years ago this week, 50 years ago this past Monday. But for all the changes that decision has made, this country is far from having solved the problems of social separation and inequality. It'll be for your generation to make some further progress on those fronts, unless, which God forbid, you should choose not to try to make any further progress on those fronts. The role of the well-educated is not altogether reassuring in this context, since as much as any group, the well-educated have tended to like to go off and live and work in enclaves of people with education much like their own, and who have enjoyed other privileges much like their own. But hard to see how all that isolation will be of much help in dealing with problems with which, nevertheless, all of us will pay some portion of the price. But perhaps the battle for a world, for a more inclusive society of more fully equal rights and greater mutual respect will turn out to have been won, or if not won, then in some measure advanced, on the intramural playing fields of Yale, or in the rooms of Jonathan Edwards or Branford, or in the dining halls of Silliman or Trumbull, scenes of interaction and understanding won across social divides. I've always regarded the intellectual cost of separationism to be as great in its way as its social cost. In this country, those who have stopped thinking are typically those who have stopped interacting with people who might make them think. And you know who that is. People who think anything at all different from the way they themselves already think. With luck, you guys will seek the educating difference that others shun. And the day may even come when you don't remember where you formed that important taste. Last, let me say a word about the idea of service. A very lovable feature of this school is its culture of other-directedness, the sense you guys always show that your gifts exist not for your benefit alone, but also for the benefit of others. I've seen you, unbeknownst to any teacher, and certainly for no course credit, working with neighborhood kids in sports camps, or teaching health or music, or making science cool in local schools. I know of your efforts. I know of some, I'm sure. I don't know of all. I know of your efforts in this and other countries on behalf of the sick and the poor and the uneducated and the displaced. I know of what many of you have done within these walls to make this a more interesting and more rewarding community. When college's somewhat artificial world of organized activity dissolves behind you, and that'll happen in about 24 hours, I trust that it will leave a seed in place for further growth, namely the habit of using your intelligence to enrich the lives of others. Numbers of you will go on to careers in teaching, in community health, in environmental causes, and in government service, and I praise you all. But those aren't the only ways that this good start could be extended. The world needs every known profession, or let me rather say, the world needs almost every known profession. And in every profession, there's a way of practice that's small-minded and self-serving, and there's another way of practice that's large-minded and serves the larger good. Whatever you do, I look to you to make that difference. Surely the best legacy you could take from Yale. I conclude. Women and men of the class of 2004, you leave. What's happening? Sit down. Women, I'm not done yet. Women and men of the class of 2004, you leave here for the valley of uncertainty, also known as life. If that brings anxiety, it also brings opportunity, the chance to make a life, and you will. An excellent poet in your class whose words I prophesy you soon will be hearing. This is David Gorin of Trumbull College. Is he here? Ooh, ooh. Has written these lines. An excellent poet in your class has written these lines, spoken as to a graduating senior by a soon-to-be former girlfriend named Ivy. The speaker may be a piece of vine, or it may be a girlfriend, or it may be a boyfriend, or it may be a school. You figure it out. Here's how the verse goes. I'm just reading a little part of it. I confess I've grown attached to you, but now we both have other walls to climb. Growing is something you'll be doing as long as you live, and you should learn to do it elsewhere than this paradise I made for you, imperfect as it was. He's got it right. You came here, you saw, you overcame. You grew into this place, you grew up here, you grew strong here. Now it's time to break its bounds, to win the room to grow some more. If Yale wanted one thing for you, it was to nourish and confirm your will to grow. Growth that will continue, though we must leave this place now to allow it to continue. Do you understand me? I think you do. So all right then. Let's get out of here.
Excuse me. Where are we going here now?
Yeah, my room is such a mess.
This is your place?
We're going to just shuffle first.
I don't trust you.
Thanks.
That's great. Thank you.
We're all going upstairs.
I guess so.
I'm going to
That guy's wearing a crown. Look at the guy with the crown on his head.
To present candidates for the degrees in the School of Drama. For the degree of Master of Fine Arts, 50 in number, they have been recommended by the faculty and approved by the corporation. I now ask you by your official act to confer upon them these degrees.
By the authority vested in me, I confer upon you the degrees in drama as recommended by the Dean and admit you to all their rights and responsibilities. Admit you to all their rights and responsibilities.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present candidates for degrees in the School of Nursing. For the certificate in nursing,
Mr. President, I have the honor to present candidates for degrees in the School of Forestry and Environmental Studies. For the degree of Master of Forestry, 5 in number. For the degree of Master of Forest Science, 3 in number. For the degree of Master of Environmental Management, 67 in number. And for the degree of Master of Environmental Science, 22 in number. They have been recommended by the faculty of the school and approved by the corporation. I now ask you by your official act to...
Mr. President, I have the honor to present candidates for degrees in the School of Management.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present candidates for degrees in the Divinity School.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present candidates for degrees in the School of Law.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present candidates for degrees in the Graduate School.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present candidates for the degree in the School of Medicine.
Praesis clarissime, candidatos ad gradum philosophiae doctoris, numero 300 viginti, tibi praesento, a facultate philosophiae artumque et ab senatu academico, illustri approbati sunt, te domine rogo ut eos ad hoc gradum admittas.
Secundum leges moremque universitatis.
I have the honor to present the candidates for honorary degrees. For the degree of Doctor of Social Science, Jan Osman, Egyptologist. For the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, Nanral Cohen, President, Duke University.
As president of Wellesley College for 12 years and president
For the degree of Doctor of Fine Arts, Lee Friedlander, photographer. Baseball legend.
Sometimes pictures speak louder than words. I direct your attention to the video screens. The scene is the first game of the 1954 World Series. We salute you as the greatest all-around player in the history of America's national game. You could hit with power, run, field, and throw with the best. You radiated enthusiasm, running so fast in pursuit of fly balls that your hat would fly off your head, swinging the bat so hard that you would almost fall to the ground when you missed. 3 players have hit more home runs, but no one ever loved the game more. Your passion for baseball made you a joy to watch. Your grace, power, and speed made you a pleasure to behold. We are honored to award you the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters.
Of Science, David Baltimore, Nobel Laureate, President, California Institute of Technology. Tom Wolfe, writer.
Perhaps the only time we'll see you dressed in blue. As one of the creators of the new journalism, you have been a master of style, reporting the modern world in all its wonder and particularity. With an uncanny eye for trends and an artist's way with words, you have captured the essence of the era, the right stuff of the space age, the me generation of the 70s, the bonfire of excess of the 80s. Respected and renowned for your journalism and novels, you are one of Yale's own, and we are proud to award your second Yale degree, Doctor of Letters.
For the degree of Doctor of Medical Sciences, Bernard Fisher, cancer researcher. For the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, Wangari Maathai, environmental advocate.
Yes.
coffee at Starbucks. I got bored.
You know.
Uh-oh, the battery's not working good.
Messed up. Like you on the bed.
Wait, no, Matthew.